What's going on, guys, and welcome to my Doctor Who DVD collection. Yes, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I felt like there was no reason to do it when my collection wasn't that big. I mean, as you can see, it's still not massive. That's just box sets. That's pretty much my whole Doctor Who collection there. At the moment, I only have 45 classic stories at the moment. But I thought, because it's the beginning of the year now, I thought we'd do my DVD collection for 2019, which I'm going to be doing at the start of the year, and then I'll do another one at the start of 2020. Maybe my collection will be complete by then, I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna get started with this now. I'm using my phone to record this, so because I don't really have a proper camera or anything, so this is really the best quality thing I have. So we're gonna be going through all the classic DVDs I have, and then through the new series up until the end. So let's start off this collection with An Unearthly Child. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. The first episode's really, really good. The rest of it, though, does drop off a little bit. I don't think I hate it as much as some people, but yeah, it's definitely not amazing. It's just kind of average overall. Then we've got the Daleks, which I personally actually really like. People seem to be pretty divided with this one. Some people, well, pretty much everyone says it's too long. It is 7 parts long, and yes, I do agree. Should have been 6. Parts 4 and a bit of parts 5 and 6 are rather slow, but on the whole, I just really enjoy this one, and I like it more than another Dalek story, which we'll see coming up in a second. Then The Edge of Destruction, which is the third story, a little 2-part story, just a 2-parter. And you know, for what it is, it's nice and fun. You know, there's really not much to it, but for a 2-parter, it really does everything it needs to. Then we've got The Dalek Invasion of Earth, which is the second Dalek story, and yeah, this is the one where personally I do prefer the Daleks. I still think Dalek Invasion of Earth's good, but I just kind of think it's average. I just think, even though this one's 6 parts, it feels like in some ways, it feels like it drags more than the other one. I don't like some of the music, I don't like some of the scenes, some of the direction's a bit poor, and the Daleks themselves sound a bit weird in this one. So yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, I'm just not the biggest fan of it. Then, my last William Hartnell First Doctor DVD, because yeah, I don't have that much, is The 10th Planet, which is his final story. Personally, at the moment, out of the DVDs I own, my favourite William Hartnell. I really love this one. Obviously, it's the introduction to the Cybermen, and yeah, William Hartnell's regeneration, the first ever regeneration. So it's a very big story. One episode is animated, but yeah, still a really good one. We move on to Patrick Troughton with The Moon Base, the first Second Doctor story I ever saw, and yeah, it's my favourite Second Doctor story at the moment. I absolutely love this one. I think it's just, there's something about it. I really, really like it. 4 parts, episodes 2 and 4 are animated, which is sad. I mean, it would be nice to have the whole thing, of course, but yeah, still, The Moon Base is one of my favourites altogether at the moment. Then we've got The Tomb of the Cybermen, 3 Cybermen stories in a row here. Yeah, I think this one's good, but I do think it overshadows The Moon Base a lot. I watched The Moon Base first, so when I came to watch this one, this has a lot of great moments in it, like the Doctor, you know, talking to Victoria and that, but and his speech. But altogether, I feel like the Cybermen take a bit too long to come into the story, and the cast I don't find to be great in a lot of ways. It's still a good story though. The Enemy of the World, another fantastic Troughton story. I mean, this one is really, really good. It's another 10 out of 10 with The Moon Base. Yeah, just Patrick Troughton playing 2 characters, the Doctor and Salamander, and let's say the Doctor pretending to be Salamander. It's absolutely brilliant acting by Patrick Troughton, and all around just a very enjoyable story. The Seeds of Death, which is the second Ice Warriors story. I don't have the first one and I haven't seen it, you know, The Ice Warriors, but this one's pretty good. It's probably my least favourite Troughton at the moment, but even saying that, it's still an 8 out of 10, so, you know, this just shows how good Troughton's era is, at least, you know, with the ones that I've seen. And then we finish off Troughton's era with The War Games, his final story, 10-part epic, and I was thinking this one was going to drag too much. I usually get a little bit bored in 6-parters a lot, so I was pretty worried about a 10-parter, but no, this one actually is really good all the way through. A couple of third that do let it down for me, but the pacing's definitely not one of them, which I was pretty surprised about. We start off with Jon Pertwee's era as the third Doctor, with Spearhead from Space, one that I haven't reviewed yet, but I have seen this story before quite a couple of times, and yeah, from what I can remember, it's pretty good. It's one of Pertwee's best. Then we've got Doctor Who and the Silurians, which is good, but in my opinion, not as good as a lot of people say it is. I think I give it a 9 out of 10 when I originally reviewed it. I think I've since put that down to like an 8 now. Yeah, it just, for me, it just really, it is too long. 7 parts, once again, it just feels too long. And that's really the main issue with it. Also, the Silurians are not my favourite in this story. Then we start off Season 8 with Terror of the Autons. Well, my most recent review when I'm recording this, but I think I'm actually recording this about a week earlier than when I'm going to upload it. But yeah, Terror of the Autons, it's alright. It's kind of just average in my opinion, 7 out of 10. Definitely not as good as Spearhead. The Sea Devils, which in my opinion is the best of the Beneath the Surface box set. I do prefer it quite a bit over the Silurians. I really like the Master in it. I like the Sea Devils more, and altogether it's only 6 parts long and it just feels a lot more interesting, a lot more exciting. The Three Doctors, the special edition, yeah, I mean, one of the early stories I saw, and just a really good one. I mean, yeah, the plot's not the most advanced and amazing, but all 3 Doctors, you know, William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton and Jon Pertwee all together, they just do such a good job, and Omega is such a great character. Yeah, really, really good. Carnival of Monsters, I think one of the underrated gems of Season 10. Season 10, by the way, is the only season that I currently have in full on DVD. Yeah, Season 10 is great, but Carnival of Monsters I think is very underrated. I don't think people really say that it's a bad story. It's just not really talked about very much. I think it needs to be talked about more. It's a really, really good one. Frontier in Space, which is personally my least favourite of Season 10. Maybe a little bit of a shock to some people, but yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the political stories anyway, so this one doesn't really resonate with me too much, and altogether I just think it's a bit boring. The Doctor and Joe getting captured all the time really gets old for me. It's still okay though. It's still a good story. Planet of the Daleks is a pretty similar story. I mean, it's alright. It's the only Jon Pertwee Third Doctor Dalek story that I've seen. And it's okay. I think I give it an 8 out of 10. I think there's a lot of things underutilized in this story massively, like the invisible Daleks, but it's still enjoyable. Then we've got the Green Death, which I haven't reviewed on the channel yet, but it's probably my favourite Jon Pertwee so far. I've seen it quite a few times, and it's one that has a lot of nostalgia with me. I watched it pretty young with my uncle, who really was the one that got me into Doctor Who. Yeah, just an amazing story. And to finish off Jon Pertwee's era, we've got The Time Warrior, which is coming out of the slot. It's the first Sontaran story, it's the first story with Sarah Jane Smith, and it's the first story where we actually get to know Gallifrey. You know, we talk about Gallifrey, we actually get the name of the Doctor's home planet. So yeah, a lot of pretty big stuff happening here. Alright, the Ark in Space. Ooh, that's coming out as well. They're all falling out. Yeah, the Ark in Space, Tom Baker's second story. I don't have Robot, I have seen it, but yeah, Ark in Space, pretty good. I don't think it's quite as good as I was expecting it to be, but altogether, it's still a very enjoyable story. Sontaran Experiment, which is another little 2-part story, which just does very, very well. You know, it doesn't have a lot in it, considering, you know, when you kind of put it up against other stories, it's not got a lot in it. But for a 2-parter, it has enough, and it's enjoyable all the way through, and it's obviously an easy watch. Second appearance of the Sontarans. Genesis of the Daleks, which I haven't reviewed yet, but I'm thinking that maybe, by the time I've uploaded this, I will have reviewed one more classic story, and I'm probably going to review this, so there may be a review for this on the channel already. If not, it's going to be one of these other stories that I said I haven't reviewed yet, but yeah, altogether though, Genesis is another one that I've seen a few times, and it's one of the best, isn't it? It really is. Terror of the Zygons. It's alright. It's pretty good actually. It is good. I give it an 8 out of 10. It's kind of not exactly what I expected. You know, only appearance of the Zygons, and everybody really, you know, they seem to be a pretty memorable villain, but the story itself is good, but I don't think it's not a classic. But yeah, pretty nice cover though. I do like that. Pyramids of Mars, another one that I haven't reviewed yet, but I have seen before. Once again, it's another one of those ones that I have memories of watching with my uncle many, many years ago, so I very much look forward to watching that one again. The Brain of Morbius, which is what a lot of people say Probably one of the most overrated Doctor Who stories of all time. But I think nowadays everyone says it's overrated, so it's no longer overrated, you know? It's not considered a classic anymore like it used to be. It's good, but I think some of the things they do, especially with the way they defeat Morbius, is a bit crap. The Robots of Death. Oh, I love this one. I love the Robots of Death. It's currently my favourite one that I've reviewed so far. I just absolutely love it. 4 parts. Just feels such a good feeling story. But also quite dark. You know, the blood and the gore, the little bits of blood and gore you get, like on that Vok robot's hands. The cast in this are all really good, and yeah, altogether I absolutely love this one. And the same can be said for the Towns of Weng-Chiang, another classic 10 out of 10 story. One of the best. Again, I mean, it's really one after the other bangers right here. You very rarely get that, but it definitely happens here. Towns of Weng-Chiang, although a little bit racist now that you look at it, still a good story. However, we do sadly then go to the Invasion of Time, which is a story that I don't like. Yeah, currently probably my least favourite out of the ones I've reviewed. Out of all the ones I've watched in general, I think. Yeah, Invasion of Time is just really slow. 6 parts long. The first 4 parts is the Doctor on Gallifrey, but he's kind of acting a bit strange. He's almost acting evil, but it goes on for too long. And then the Sontarans appear and don't really do anything. So, yeah, pretty disappointing, that one. City of Death, another one that I haven't reviewed yet, but I have seen. I think I've only seen this one once before, but so I can't really remember it. It's a long time ago. People seem to say that this one's amazing, so I'm looking forward to watching it again. But yeah, not really too much I can say on that one. The Keeper of Troughton, which is a pretty decent story actually. I do quite enjoy it. It's maybe slightly above average. I think I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 when I reviewed it. It's fun. There's bits of it that I don't like, but on the whole, it's still a pretty enjoyable one. Then we round off Tom Baker's era with Legopolis, which personally, everyone has their own differing opinions on this. Personally, I think that Tom Baker could have gone out much, much better. I don't think he deserved to go out like this. It's not a terrible story, but it's not great either. The best thing about it is probably Anthony Aileen's first proper appearance as the Master. Even Tom Baker himself, I don't think is amazing in this one, because at this point he was kind of just sick with the role. He was sick of it and he just wanted to go. So, yeah, not the best way to go out. So we start off the 5th Doctor's era with Castrovalva, and sadly we're kind of treading on similar ground. I felt like Castrovalva, in a lot of ways, is very similar to Legopolis in the things that it does, and all together, once again, yeah, just don't really like it. Not a fan at all. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Shock, another one that I haven't reviewed yet, but I can't wait to watch this one again. It's one that I have watched a few times in the past, and I remember it being pretty amazing, especially with the big thing that happens at the end. Shock is one that I'm looking forward to watching again. We go down to the shit pile again with Warriors of the Deep. Oh god, Warriors of the Deep. A fairly basic story in the first place, massively let down by production values. If the production value wasn't so bad, and if, you know, the effects weren't so shit, and the bloody Merca, oh god, don't get me started on the Merca. If they weren't so bad, I think this story would just kind of be average. But, yeah, sadly, it lets it down a lot. Resurrection of the Daleks, which I personally think is a pretty underrated Dalek story. I enjoy it. There's a hell of a lot of death in this story. It's crazy how many people die. Yeah, altogether, I do enjoy it. And then, final Peter Davison 5th Doctor story, The Case of Androstani, and yeah, it's probably his best. It is a fantastic story. Sharazjek is such a good villain, and Peter Davison gives his best performance, I think by far, throughout his whole run. He just gives it in all in this one. And yeah, it really does close off his era very well. We get onto the 6th Doctor era, which for me is not particularly big at the moment. Starting off with Attack of the Cybermen. It's alright, it's nothing special. It's just kind of another Cyberman story, but nothing amazing. It's not bad, it's also not good. So, kind of sits. I give it a 6.5, so it's kind of just below average for me. Vengeance on Varos, which is probably gonna be the best Colin Baker story. I haven't seen a lot of Colin's era apart from these 3 that I have here and Revelations of the Daleks. That's all I've seen of him. but I do think, from what other people say, that Vengeance on Varys is pretty much going to be as good as you're going to get for the 6th Doctor. But you know what? It is a good one. It's not a 10 out of 10, and he's probably the only Doctor that doesn't get a 10 out of 10. Maybe, I don't know. Well, only classic Doctor anyway. But yeah, it's good. And it ages quite well, actually. I do think that. It's also quite dark at times. The 2 Doctors, which I like, but this was actually, I think, the first Colin Baker story I saw many years ago. I'm losing my voice. And I liked it a lot back then, but rewatching it recently, I still think it's good. I give it a 7.5, but I don't think it's quite as good as I remember it being. Yeah, I don't know, a bit slow at times. 3 parts of the, the 3 45-minute parts. I think it's a bit too long for it, personally. And then we go on to the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, starting off with Dragonfire. Yeah, a bit disappointing, I will be honest. The best thing about it is probably Ace, joining the TARDIS. And everything else is kind of meh. The melting scene of this guy, his face melts in Indiana Jones style. That's pretty cool, but apart from that, the story itself is kind of meh. And I found myself getting bored, and that's not good when it's only 3 parts long. Resurrection of the Daleks. Probably the best Sylvester McCoy story. Another one I haven't reviewed yet, but I think if anything's going to get a 10 out of 10, this is going to be it. I think the only other one that could come close is probably The Curse of Fenric, which I don't have yet, but yeah, Resurrection of the Daleks. Really looking forward to watching that one again. And then finishing off the first shelf is the Happiness Patrol. Oh, yeah, this is finishing off the first shelf. Happiness Patrol. It's alright. It's okay. It's a bit silly. But I think that's what it was going for. I mean, when you've got a monster made of licorice all sorts, you kind of just have to be silly. You can't really take it seriously. So it's good for what it is, but it's definitely nothing fantastic. Okay, so second shelf. We've got only 2 classic stories on this shelf. But first of all, The Great Show in the Galaxy. Really, really good. Yeah, one of the best, 8 out of 10 for Sylvester McCoy's era. It's actually a pretty enjoyable one. It was the first Sylvester McCoy DVD I got. And yeah, all round, quite enjoy it. And then finally for the classics, if you do count this as a classic, which I do, it's the movie. Yeah, not great, is it? Let's be honest. The best thing about it is definitely Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor. He's great. Grace is okay, the companion. But other than that, it's far too American-y. Because, I mean, let's be honest, this was made by, I believe, by BBC America. And the Master, Eric Roberts as the Master, no, it doesn't work. He's not good. Just put him away. Put him away now. So, we get to the new series, which is the series that I'm more familiar with, and that I have pretty much all of. Starting off with Series 1, a great series. I mean, it started off, it rebooted the show, and it did a bloody good job of it. Some absolute classics in there, like, Empty Child Doctor Dances, Dalek, The Parting of the Ways. Some real good stories in here, and not too much bad stuff either, really. Definitely not really bad stuff anyway. Series 2, which seems to get a lot of flack. I noticed that when I'm pulling these DVDs out, I think I'm doing that with the camera. I am sorry about that. My arm is aching a bit, so I apologise if my camera work is not great. Also, I'm holding a phone. Series 2, series that gets a lot of flack, because mainly of the few bad episodes it has, which are definitely the weakest of David Tennant's run. I don't hate Love and Monsters, Idiot's Lantern, and even fear her as much as a lot of people. I really don't. But they're definitely the weakest of his era. However, Series 2 I still love because it has some gems in there. It's got The Girl in the Fireplace, School Reunion, the Sideman two-parter, the Ooh two-parter, Impossible Planet Saint Pit, which is my favourite 10th Doctor story, and then the finale, which is pretty damn good as well. So yeah, Series 2 I personally do like. It's definitely David Tennant's weakest, but I still like it. Series 3, which is a pretty good series. The only bump in this one for me is probably the Lazarus Experiment. 42 I don't mind, but then everything else is kind of either average or very good. I mean, you've got Human Nature, Family of Blood, you've got Blink, you've got the 3-part Master finale, which is good, but I think I've kind of seen it too many times. It's kind of worn down a bit. But yeah, Series 3 all up is a pretty good series. And honestly, one of the most underrated companions in Martha, in my opinion. Series 4, which is my favourite series of the new era. Yes, it is. I love Series 4. Doctor and Donna is, in my opinion, the best companion duo. You know, Doctor companion duo. Catherine Tate's great. She has the funny moments, but she can also do the serious stuff, and I really appreciate that. And altogether, this series just has the best selection of episodes. I think the worst episode in this is probably The Doctor's Daughter, and even that I'd probably give a 7 out of 10, so there really isn't anything bad with this series, in my opinion. Remember, this is all opinion. We then have the complete specials, which is just basically just Tennant's last year. You know, it wasn't a full series. You've got The Next Doctor, which I think is a very underappreciated, underrated Christmas special. You've got Planet of the Dead, which is definitely the weakest, but once again I don't hate it as much as some people. It's not great though. Waters of Mars, which I think is very good, and then End of Time, which is also a pretty damn good final story for the 10th Doctor. Series 5, which looks out of place because I've got the Region 4 instead of the Region 2, which I have of the ones around it. But yeah, Series 5, definitely Stephen Moffat's best series, and definitely Matt Smith's best series, of course. Yeah, it has a couple of bumps in there. You know, some people say that this is like the best series, or at least up there with like Series 4. I can't do that. I can't even put it with, you know, I can't put it ahead of any Ross Davis era series for me, probably. Because, you know, it does have those bumps like Victory of the Daleks and The Beast Below, which I personally don't think those other series quite fell to that low. Although those aren't terrible, especially The Beast Below. The Beast Below is not terrible, but Victory of the Daleks, oh boy. Yeah, but Series 5 is a good series. It all starts going downhill a bit for me with Series 6. Series 6 isn't terrible, but you've got stuff in there like Let's Kill Hitler and The Wedding of River Song. Oh, they're bad. The Doctor's Wife, which I don't mind, but I don't love like a lot of people. I think this series starts pretty well. It's the second half of the series that really lets it down. Then you've got Series 7, which is possibly the worst series so far. I don't know, maybe not as bad as Series 11, but we're not talking about that right now. Series 7 it split itself in two, which I don't think was a good idea. And I mean, Series 6 kind of did that, but at least it kept the same story going. Series 7 had the first half with Amy and Rory, then they went, and then the second half was with Clara. And it just didn't work, and altogether I think this series just has the most weak episodes. Some of the episodes don't fall as weak as some other series, but altogether it has bad episodes like Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, The Power of Three, Nightmare in Silver, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, Asylum of the Daleks. It's not got a good selection. I'd say that almost half of the stories in this one are pretty bad, so that's not good. Then we've got Day of the Doctor, which is a pretty good, I think a pretty good 50th anniversary special. Yes, it is more of a new series special, but it's still enjoyable and I like it. And then Time of the Doctor, which in my opinion is not the best regeneration story. It's not terrible, but it's not great, and it's also not one of the best Christmas specials. I think Matt Smith could have gone out a bit better, but yeah, I don't know, it's alright. And then we move on to the Capaldi era, starting off with Series 8. Personally, I don't mind Series 8. I think it's pretty decent. You know, the range of episodes is alright. I mean, you've got some flops in there, like In the Forest of the Night, Kill the Moon, The Caretaker. Personally, not a fan of Listen. I know that some people rave on about that one, but I don't really like Listen. I just find it really boring and stupid. But then this has some gems, like Mummy on the Orient Express, Flatline. I don't hate Time Heist like a lot of people do. Deep Breath, I think, is a pretty decent opener for a Doctor. So yeah, Series 8, and I don't really mind I don't mind Danny as a character, and I don't mind the Danny Clara thing. It doesn't really bother me. Series 9, which is a really rough series because it has some absolute highs. You've got Under the Lake Before the Flood, which is one of my favourite Capaldis. You've got Heaven Sent, which is one of my favourite Capaldis. You've got Face the Raven, which is great. But then, you've got Sleep No More. You've got The Girl Who Died, The Woman Who Lived. And you've got Hellbent. It's Hellbent, especially, that drags this one down. So I don't know if I can say it's the worst. I mean, I think it has some worse episodes than Series 7, but I don't know if I would say it's better or worse, because it has better episodes as well. I don't know, it's a tough one. It's definitely my least favourite Capaldi. And then we have Series 10, which, another series that people are really divided on from what I've heard. Some people say it's like the worst series ever. If you're like me though, it's still nothing amazing, but I think it is the best Capaldi series, because it doesn't hit the low that the other two did. I think the worst story in this one is probably the Monk trilogy and the Ethers of Light. Everything else is just kind of okay. But then you've got Word Enough and Time, which is phenomenal. And you've got Oxygen, which is phenomenal. So yeah, I think on the whole, I do prefer Series 10 over 9 and 8, and probably 7 and 6. So that's all the series. There's just a couple of little other DVDs. First, we've got Doctor Who: The Ultimate Guide. This is basically just a documentary type thing going over the 50 years of Doctor Who. I literally got it because I was buying a DVD for my sister for Christmas, or no, for her birthday, I think. And it was like a 2 for 20 or something, and this happened to be there, so I thought, whatever, I might as well get it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have bothered. It's more of an extra thing. But the 5 Doctors, the original release, I am going to get the, the proper release like that for the 5 Doctors, but I'm always going to keep this one because it's the first ever Doctor Who DVD released, so it means a lot to me, and it's my first ever Doctor Who DVD, so I will always keep it. And then we also have Carnival Monsters, the normal edition, because I have the normal edition. I got the special edition when I got Revisitations 2. And that's pretty much everything. If you want to know what box sets I've got, I mean, you've already seen all the stories from them, but I've got The Beginning, Mannequin Mania, Beneath the Surface, Dalek War, Bred for War, New Beginnings, Ace Adventures, Revisitations 1, Revisitations 2, Revisitations 3, and then I've got the Series 1 to 4 box set in there, which also has some sleeves from other things. That's the Torchwood, which Torchwood's down here, but I've not got that on my Doctor Who shelf. And then basically just a bunch of the sleeves for the other series, like Series 6, Series 7 and stuff. And that's it. That's my DVD collection. It's not massive, as you can tell, but I am still getting classic stories every month. I get 5 or 6 every month. I may even start getting more than that, because I really want to fill out this collection. And yeah, I'm looking forward to watching more classic stories. Of course, when Series 11 comes out on DVD, I'll be getting that as well. And yeah, all up. Also, Twice Upon a Time I don't have. I'm waiting to see if it's on the Series 11 box set. I don't think it will be, but just in case, I don't want to buy it and then have it on the box set. So when Series 11 comes out, I will most likely just get it on DVD then, because I really doubt it will be on the box set, but just in case, I'm just holding out. But yeah, that is my Doctor Who DVD collection. What do you guys think? I know it's not massive, but it is something, and in a year's time, we'll be able to do a much bigger video. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.